You're listening to Wanderlust Diaries, the ultimate travel podcast for solo female travellers 40 and beyond who are ready to explore the world. Join me, Terri Reynolds, where we talk all things travel and why it's so important and what's stopping you from getting out there and exploring the world. We'll discuss the steps you can take now to fix it, empowering you to ignite your curiosity and set your heart free so that you have the confidence to travel wherever you want, whenever you want. Offering insights, tips, hacks, and remarkable women's stories along the way. So come on, grab your passport, pack your sense of adventure, and get ready to be inspired. Whether you're a first-time solo traveller or a seasoned globetrotter, Wanderlust Diaries is your community of like-minded souls, uplifting and supporting women over 40 who dare to explore.
Welcome to today's episode of Wanderlust Diaries, and today I am joined by Karen Leigh, who is going to tell us all about her own travels, what she's been up to and where she is in the world today. So hi Karen, thank you for joining me today. It's great to have you here. And so listen, over to you. Tell us a bit about you.
Yeah, so I'm Karen Leigh. I'm currently in Glasgow, although I've got a long journey that we'll talk about. It's me and my two children, and my work is hypnotherapy and NLP, which has actually played a huge part in the self-belief and confidence I've had to go off and do the things and the travels that I've done.
I love that because I'm into NLP myself, not so much the hypnotherapy, but, I've done some courses in that, and I'm about to do a course as a master practitioner. So I'm very, very interested in it. I love NLP. I think it's fantastic. So brilliant. Okay. So I think we've got a lot to cover today.
Yeah.
So where should we start then? So let's start with, where did your love of traveling come from?
So I did traveling in my early 20s. So I'm late 30s now, so I've had a lot to fit in that time. But my early 20s, I actually went with friends. So that did sort of give me the confidence. We went off and did some traveling. We've done a lot of America, went to Australia, Guam. So that was sort of felt like I had that sort of comfort blanket in a way by going with my friend. And there were parts where I would come back to Glasgow. I had a partner here, and she would go off, and so I would fly out and meet her in certain places. So that sort of gave me a little bit of confidence to eventually think, oh, maybe I can just do this on my own, because I know it's a scary thing to do. It's really daunting to go off on your own.
It is, isn't it? And I think you're right. Any time I'm talking to clients, it's all about, take those small steps, do something in your comfort zone. As much as you want to get out of your comfort zone, do something a little bit within your comfort zone to start with. So I think that was fantastic. And how long were you away for? I mean, what age were you? Did you say you were in your early 20s?
Yep. So the first time I went traveling, I did 6 weeks in America. I went to Guam, Sydney, and that I would have been 23. I would have been. And then a year and a half later, I had another friend who actually had just spent a year in Australia and said, I'm going to go off to America for 3 months. Why don't you just come with me? And I did. I mean, I thought about it for 2 days. I felt that I had responsibilities at the time. I had a job, I had a car to pay for, and I thought, I can't just go. And 2 days, and I thought, well, why can't I? And I just asked for the time off work, which they gave me. 3 months, and just parked my car.
That was so lucky, wasn't it, to be able to take that time off, because I suppose not everybody can do that. And you're right, at that age, at 23, I have to say, Karen, by the age of 23, I'd been married, had a baby, and got divorced by the time I was 23. But that's a different world, the way that was. But no, isn't it? It's fantastic that you were given the opportunity to take that time off work, because that's how I did what I did. By doing that. And like you talk about your responsibilities of having a car.
I know, it felt like I didn't have kids at that point. That felt like my big responsibility.
I know, it's like, if only you knew, what responsibilities actually are. I love that though. I love the spontaneity of it, and I'm a bit like that myself, about I'm not one to make plans well in advance of anything. And if anybody says to me, you free next week? Let's do this. I'm off. I love that. And it's great that you've got those friends that were a bit like that as well.
I'm so grateful. And we saw, so that trip she had planned anyway. So she'd said that I want to go here and here. And I thought, these are places I never thought I would get to go. So places like Graceland, Dollywood, places in Florida, little towns that I would never have gone to. So I'm so grateful that I had that, and it gave me that drive for adventure, to go and see more of these places. So it sort of
that's what it
instilled
does, doesn't it? That's exactly what travel does, and that's what I always say is, once you, especially for those who've never done it, haven't done it yet, anybody that has done it will tell you the same thing, that once you've done it once, there's no way you're not doing that again. You are going to be doing it again, because it's so liberating, isn't it? It's such a fantastic feeling. Once you've done it, it's the confidence building, it's all of that stuff that comes along with it, isn't it?
Yeah, and also there's also that sense of danger, and quite rightly, that sort of fear that we can have about solo traveling. Although this time I was with a friend, you still have that fear of two young girls going abroad themselves. I think that's quite right. You should be aware, you should know what the dangers are. But it reassured me. So doing that traveling with a friend also showed me this isn't that scary. If you just make sure you're not putting yourselves in certain situations, not walking down, streets that you don't know in the dark late at night, keeping yourself safe, having that awareness. It showed me this not, I felt very safe. Even in places like Manhattan, they say one of the most dangerous places in the world, I felt very safe. So that also gave me a lot of reassurance for future travelling when I did actually go on my own.
Yes, exactly that. It's about the research. And how did you research? I mean, back in my day when I went, all I had was books. We didn't have the internet then. So I didn't have certainly didn't have my phone then either. So what kind of research did you put in place to make sure? Because you can only research so much, can't you, before you go anyway?
Yeah, we didn't do a lot of research, but we did plan our trip. So we're going back when I did those travels with friends. 2011 was the last one, 2009 being the first. So that was back, it was the same. You couldn't just go on Google on your phone and find out all this information. We did have the books. What's it called? Lonely Planet books.
Lonely Planet. I used to have the rough guide. The rough guide to whatever. Yeah, it was either the Lonely Planet or the rough guide, and I plumped for the rough guide. Yeah.
Well, they were amazing. They were great books. So we got a lot of our information from there and where to go. We planned our trip, so train rides or flights, and so we kind of had plans in place. Once we were there, the only sort of spontaneous thing was, we'll be leaving 2 days instead of next week and go there. And that was the most spontaneous we got. Everything was pretty planned, and I would say that's good to an extent as well. But have some flexibility, but also have a plan, I think, because it gives you, I think that's reassuring as well when you've got a plan and you know what you're doing and where you'll be.
It definitely does. And that the experience comes with that then, so that if you just want to go somewhere and not really plan too much, it gives you experience to do that. So were you thrown any curveballs? You say you had these plans made, and in my experience, the best laid plans can still go awry, and I remember getting thrown curveballs and I had to pivot and I had to change. Did that happen to you at all while you were traveling?
I remember the first time that I went to America, the 2009 trip, and we got to New York and our bank cards didn't work. So back then it was always recommended, go and tell your bank you're going abroad. It was, nowadays I don't think it's fine. You can just go abroad and use your bank card. But they must have saw it suspicious that we were suddenly in a different country using a card, so it'd been blocked. And the next day, we didn't have much cash, dollars on us. And the next day was a bank holiday Monday in America. So we had to wait until the Tuesday so we had to really so that was a curveball because, we didn't have bank cards and we had to make this money last us until we could go. So we phoned back home, the bank, and they said, you need to go to this office in Manhattan and where we've got a space and you need to sort of show your ID and things. So it was fine in the end. It wasn't a huge curveball, but we weren't expecting it. And it was, a couple sort of worried, two girls in New York with not a lot of money and didn't have our bank cards, didn't know what to do. So that was a bit, although on the plus side, we got to go up an amazing tower in New York and see a beautiful view for free. So that was nice.
Oh, well, excellent. I mean, that doesn't happen very often, does it? You get in somewhere for free. So I love it. Yeah. Well, Yeah, and the thing is with curveballs is you survive.
Yeah.
You know, and it might, anybody listening to this who hasn't done it before, they might be feeling a bit of anxiety around that. And, oh my gosh, you know, I'm making a plan and it's going to go, you know, exactly as it should. But you survive the
Yeah.
curveballs to
Yeah.
the plans, and what it does is actually give you even more confidence.
Yeah. It does, and there's always, I think, an NLP obviously will sort of, you'll probably know what I mean by this. There's always you can shift your perception, and rather than thinking that, oh my God, this is awful, just think it's okay. You know, so there's always a flip side to it. If you look at it feels a bit rubbish just now, and it's not the plan, but I think we can get more hyped up and upset when we're trying to control the situation, and you can't control it. So when you just let go of that, you know, of that need to control and just it is what it is sort of attitude.
Yeah, no, sometimes you have to, don't you? You have to just kind of give yourself up to the universe or whatever it is, and just say to yourself, right, okay, this is this for now. I always say this to myself, you know, in the end, everything will be fine. It's just not the end right now.
Yeah.
And that gets me through quite a few things, because it's true, you know, it's not the end yet, because I'm still going to go through these couple of things to get to the end. And then everything's absolutely fine. And isn't it surprising as well how quickly you forget about what's happened? Because once everything's fixed, you carry on with your journey or whatever it is you're doing, you've forgotten about that.
And it's a story as well.
It is. Absolutely. Like we're telling now.
Yeah.
Great. So tell us a bit more then about what happened next then after your initial trips.
So after the traveling America, so I had the same partner throughout this time, and when I came back from the 3 months in America the second time, the next year I had a baby. So a year later I had my son, and then 15 months later I had my daughter. So that was very much my life. I got the sort of traveling, done all of that, had, you know, I partied hard, got all of that out of the way, and then settled down. And then life was pretty quiet for the next few years.
I love that though, you know. For me, I was quite young, like I said, you know, I got married really young, had a baby. And so for my early years, up until I was 30, at least 35, you know, and then it was after that for me that I even thought about maybe traveling, that type of thing. And you've done it the other way around. So you've kind of got your traveling out of your blood a little bit, out of your system a little bit. Then you're allowed to settle down, have your children, do what you were going to do. And so what ignited you then after that?
So actually then I became a single parent when my children were 2 and 3 years old, and I just wanted to have the best life. My kids really, you know, gave me that drive. I went to university when they were born, so I just wanted more for me and for them. And when I became a single parent, I started taking them on little trips. So we went to Belfast for the weekend, you know, we got the ferry over, which was, the whole thing was just a big adventure for them. And so we started off UK. We did a lot of sort of seaside resort type places in Cornwall, and we've done a lot of travelling, you know, even just Scotland, going away up north. And so that sort of eased me in, taking them away on my own when they were little. And I had come to a point a few years ago, they're 10 and 11 now, and I wanted to take them abroad. I wanted to go, you know, abroad with them, just the three of us. But there was that fear. I thought, you know, it's a different country. I don't know, you know, I really felt a resistance towards taking, even though it was only for a week. Yeah, I definitely had fear around that. And then I had to sit with that. I just had to sit with that, you know, they were going back a time before I'd actually trained in NLP, and I didn't have the sort of mindset tools and resources that I have now. But I had to sit with that fear and, you know, realise it was, you know, I've been to Spain. I know Spain. I went as a child. My mum took us when we were, you know, and I just did it. I thought there's no point in thinking one day or when they're older. I thought you just do it. And I know. I just made that decision in the moment. And
because
I just
one day doesn't come, does it? You know, and if you just wait until the perfect moment, it's like they say about having kids, you know, if you wait till the perfect moment, you never have them. And it's about seizing the day, isn't it? You know, and like, okay, thinking logically. Yeah, all right, I'm going to be a bit nervous about this. I'm going to be a bit nervous about that. It's the first time I've done it. with the kids. So therefore things are going to be different, you know, and it's about embracing that change though, isn't it? You know, yes, things are, but it's going to be a totally different journey, a totally different experience now with the kids.
Yeah, and that, like you said, it's just change. It's like the unknown, and we're actually not really scared so much of the unknown. It's leaving the known. Yes. But that trip to Spain was amazing. Nothing went wrong. It was plain sailing. We had the best time, best memories, and then that again, you get more confidence comes with each one, with each step that you take, each little step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, and I love all that, because obviously we're going to have people listening to this who probably have or may have kids of their own, and they're thinking of doing something like this, you know, and they've not done it on their own before, just like you haven't. And it's great for them to hear this, you know, that and do something maybe not so enormous for the first one as well. You know, don't take them on a 10-hour flight somewhere for the very first holiday, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think I am all about baby steps, and especially if you have the fear. I mean, I think if someone's confident enough to go and do that, but I definitely had, for me, it was baby steps. It was, let's try Spain, and then we actually 2 years later went to California for a month in the summer. So my brother lives there, but again, it was me taking them out on my own, which again was sort of just dipping my toe in. You know, it's obviously it's further away, and we were going for a longer period, but that actually, just after that is when I actually had my first ever solo on my own, no kids, no friends, and that was to Malta, which was just after our trip to California. This would have been 2019. And when we came home, my mum was taking my kids for a week, so I knew I had some free time. I booked a trip to Malta. I booked it actually when I was still in California, knowing that I would have that week. Wow. And I went away purposely on my own. So I did have a friend that said, "Oh, amazing, I'll come with you." And I thought, I actually wanted to go on my own.
Yes. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. And we'll get onto that in a second. I just want to go back to traveling with the kids just for a second, around like packing, that type of thing. You know, how did you find packing for them as well? Did you find that you had about 20 cases and you had to condense them all down to a couple, or were you quite ruthless with that? And how did you find packing for them as well? Because it's one thing packing for yourself, isn't it? But when you have to pack for children as well, it's a different story, isn't it?
Do you know what? I don't overthink it too much. So for California for the month, I took one suitcase and I just got our stuff in it. I managed. I mean, they were little, so their clothes are quite little, but I just I did it with my a large suitcase, but I didn't overthink it. I just took what I knew we would need.
No, I love that, and the fact that you just said, you didn't overthink it, and I think that's what we do a lot. We overthink things. It's like, go with your gut instinct, go with your first instinct. I'm a list person. Write it all down, and I write it all it's all in my phone. And then as I put it in the case, tick it off, it's done. And I think that way is really good. It kind of reassures you, because otherwise you can go back to the case. Did I put this in? Did I put that in? But I think you're absolutely right. Just don't overthink it. So I love that. Yeah, it's a great piece of advice, that is. So tell us about your first solo trip then. So you went to Malta.
So I had wanted to go somewhere I had never been, so I picked Malta. And I knew that obviously it's quite a small country as well. I actually walked 3 cities. So I saw 3 cities in one day, and I walked them. I just got up early in the morning, walked down to, was the first one, it begins with an S. I can't remember the name of it. But you walk down Slovenia. No, is that a country? Okay. And I walked down, and you get the ferry over to what's it called? Yes. So you get the ferry over to there, and I was staying in a place called St Jude's, which is sort of further up Malta, and it's a tiny little place. I don't think it's so much of the touristy place. It's a sort of smaller part of Malta, but that's where I was staying. And I just walked down and got the ferry over to Valletta. This was 2019. For 3 nights I went. Best time ever. Had the best time. I could just do what I wanted. You don't need to check with someone. Do you fancy doing this?
I know.
That was a really, really lovely trip.
It's the best thing about solo traveling, isn't it? You know, you can either be on your own or not. It's up to you. It's up to you what, you know, whatever it is you want to do, go and talk to people or not. Just depends whatever it is you want to do, and you don't have to consider anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Sliema, by the way, that's the name of the little town.
Oh yes,
you know the one.
Yes.
So yeah, it was a really great trip, and then obviously I think people, because I tell people sometimes, you know, about the solo traveling, and they say, you know, what about eating out on your own? Are you not? Do you not feel a bit embarrassed, or there's that sort of fear, or as well as the fear of walking the streets themselves, and you know, the unknown, a country that they don't know, or they don't know the language. But yeah, there's the little things then that people say, what about, you know, going out, you know, going to a bar yourself or eating out? But I think it's just getting curious about that. Is it, you know, what is it about? You know, you're allowed to go and have a meal on your own, you know?
Yes, exactly that. It is about what's holding you back. What are you worried about? You know, and I get a lot of that, you know, that I'm going to be seen on my own, or that poor person, you know, Dougie Bates type thing, you know, that they're on their own, they've got no friends, and but that is their issue. That's not your issue. That's them. You know, don't bring yourself down to that level of thinking. You know, that's whatever they think is up to them. It's not your way of thinking. You know, and you just do what you want to do.
And I think is for them to remember as well, most people are too busy, you know, consumed in their own lives, or, you know, they might glance over at you. They probably won't even, you know, they might like glance over and think, oh, she's on her own. And then they go back to whatever they're doing. They're not thinking anymore about it. And, you know, so I think that's nice to remember.
Karen, they're probably jealous. Especially when you see some couples, you know, they just sat there, there's no conversation. And you can see them looking over, and you can tell, oh, look how lucky she is, you know. So so don't be worried about that. I think it can be a bit nerve-wracking the first time you do it, maybe, you know, because you've not done it before. But just you go in there and take a book with you or something like that. You know, if you need a bit of a crutch, just take a book with you, so it's on the table, and you can sit there and pretend to read it if you like, and just people watch over the top of it. I've done that many times. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I don't know if I did. I probably did pull my phone out a couple of times, but I mean, honestly, I think I did feel that, you know, that first time when I was going out to local restaurants and I was myself, and you know, people were nice. I never felt that anyone was judging me, or but it is nerve-wracking. But once you do it the first time, you know, again, it's that confidence builds.
It's onwards and upwards, isn't it? And it's like, and I don't think people are judging us. We are judging ourselves. That's the issue. We are judging ourselves, you know. Stop being so judgy and just do it.
And you know, and then we're normalizing it. So the more we do it, the more it's showing other people that they can do it as well.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's I can't remember the percentage now, but it's something like 60-something% of mature women, also the men that are solo traveling these days. It's more women, and it's more older women from like 50 up. And so I think that's fantastic, you know, that it's women kind of showing the way there.
Yeah.
And I was a bit surprised as well that I found out that guys can be a bit anxious as well about solo traveling for the first time. You know, we just think that men can just go out there and do it, you know, they've got nothing to worry about. But they're a bit anxious as well about solo traveling. So in fact, it does affect us all. But then again, it's the same story. Once you've done it, once they've done it, once they're there, it's like anybody, you know, once you're there, it's like, oh my gosh, this is the best.
Yeah, it really is. Yep. And it inspired me to go off, and it wasn't abroad this time, but you know, whenever my mum has the children out, which she normally does in the summer holidays, and I have that nice time for myself.
Yeah.
And she'd actually taken them to Spain 2 years ago. So again, I thought I'm going to go off and go somewhere, but I actually thought I want to explore more of my own country, Scotland. So I went to Isle of Islay, which is beautiful, stunning beaches, are just, you know, you would think you were in the Bahamas or something, just beautiful clear water, gorgeous sand. And then the history, you've got the castles and the lovely little villages, and that was I would say I actually enjoyed that more than Malta. Really, like, beautiful. Almost felt like I was on a self-discovery journey. It was just the best. I just took my journal, went down to the beach, and just sat and there was no one there, just me, beach all to myself.
There are some wonderful places to go in the
really,
UK.
really
Absolutely.
yeah,
you know, when we've got the weather as well, you know, you can't beat it. You really can't. I think most of us say the same thing, don't we? Have you done the North 500?
No.
A friend of mine, there's a podcast on here that a friend of mine did. So if you want to have a listen, if you're thinking of doing it, she went off in a camper van. She was actually with her husband at the time, but she gave some good tips around any women, you know, who wanted to do it on their own. So that might be one to have a little listen to. But she did that. She said it was absolutely fantastic. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I haven't done it myself either yet. So it's something on my bucket list.
Definitely on the to-do list, isn't it? It's definitely one. Yeah.
Yes, especially for me. I come from, you know, down south, travel up, travel around and back down again, stopping on the way. Yes, like you said, you know, when you go to places in your own country, I mean, for a start, it's a bit more relaxing anyway, because, you know, it's your own country, so you know everything that you need to know. But there's that excitement of not having been there before. So therefore, it's just it's like going somewhere exotic anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, and like you just said, you know, we've got so many amazing places here. We really do, that we forget about, because when we think about going on holiday, we think about going abroad. But there's so many amazing places. Scotland, England. I haven't been to Wales yet. It's on my to-do list.
Oh, well, you must come to Wales. I took my grandson to North Devon back in May for a few days, and went to Woolacombe. And the beach there just went on forever, and it was full of surfers. And my grandson, he just absolutely had the best time ever, because he's got a little bodyboard, you know, he's trying to learn to surf and all of that. And honestly, you could have been anywhere abroad, anywhere. You know, we had the weather, thankfully, and you literally could be anywhere. And that beach, like I said, is stretched. You know, the lovely sand dunes. You could have been anywhere in the world, and it was just absolutely glorious to be there. And Cornwall's the same. You know, there's lots of places I've been around the country. Have you been down to Cornwall?
I have. St Ives and down. Well, we sort of drove round the coast there.
Yes, gorgeous down there, isn't it? Yeah. Tend to go most years with my daughter and my grandson. And again, you know, it's like, even if you don't have the weather there, it's just absolutely beautiful. So how did you get into NLP and hypnotherapy? Was that anything to do with traveling at all, or was that something, you know?
It was nothing to do with travelling. It was actually during sort of 2020 lockdown time, when I was just finishing my business degree, but realised I didn't want to go and work in corporate forever. As much as I had a good time working in corporate, quite liked the office life, but I just thought there's just something in me that just wants. I felt like I had to do a lot of digging, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. A business degree felt like the safe option for me. And I think during 2020, a lot of us did reevaluate a lot of things, and that was mine. It was, you know, thinking, I don't want to do this corporate forever. So I actually hired a life coach who helped me dig deep and unravel and, you know, work on limiting beliefs that I had about the possibilities, my capabilities. And I thought, this is powerful stuff. I had so many breakthroughs and realizations, and started to understand what I want in here, not what I thought I should be doing. And I just thought, there's so many people that were just like me, that are lost, unfulfilled, don't have those realizations and breakthroughs that I've just had. Why are we not taught this? I just thought, I just sort of felt an injustice actually I felt for women, but especially mums, who just feel that they're a mum and they don't have any passion or purpose about anything.
Yeah, agree. Absolutely agree. Yeah.
And that's what led me into it. And I just wanted to shout it from the rooftops, and I do. So, yeah.
And so what has that led you to now? Because obviously you've done NLP and you've got into hypnotherapy now as well. So so what is that? Is this all part of your business?
Yeah, so my service, I work with women generally, and it is mainly around self-worth, self-belief, because if we've got low self-worth, it's going to affect every aspect of our life, our friendships, relationships, jobs, our lifestyle, and how fulfilled that we feel. So, and people don't come to me saying I've got low self-worth, or they might have an idea that maybe they do, but generally it's a sort of surface level problem. And when we start digging deep, it's, I did as well. I had that low self-worth that I had to build up as
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah, totally agree. You go with something, but that's not what it is.
Yeah.
You always find that with a bit of digging, it usually comes from childhood, doesn't it? And from there, trauma or whatever it is. And it does, very often comes from childhood. And when you uncover it, it's what a revelation, isn't it? You must get a lot of that. I love, those kinds of things that are unearthed. It's really nice to see, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was, I can relate, because I was the same, and I had to have those breakthroughs and realizations as well. As much as I went traveling in my 20s, I was drinking a lot of alcohol and partying while traveling because I didn't have the confidence to go out and speak to people, or I definitely, used alcohol for confidence, and I didn't have any self-worth or self-belief really. And I had to, it took, a few years to sort of build that up. And then, like I've been saying, like each little baby step, you build more confidence to go on and do the next thing. And your goals get bigger. The more confidence, the more your goals get bigger, I think, as well.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with all of that. And I've been through the same thing myself, but for me, it was slightly different because I was a lot older. I was 39 before I went traveling. I was 39, I was 40 whilst I was traveling. So for me, I'd already been through a lot of life. But that's not to say that, I didn't have limiting beliefs, because I absolutely did. I had a great time that year away. It was fantastic. It was the making of me. And I think that travel is the making of everybody that does it. And I think that to do some soul searching, and finding out who you are, because I'd been a wife twice and I was a mother, and now it was like back to me, find out who I am. But it's still been a journey ever since, it's not been, oh, that was great, that sorted me out. Absolutely not. I've done a lot since as well. And I would say over the last maybe 7-8 years, where I feel like I've woken up to, certain things. And I think that's helped me as well. And it's just been a revelation, all of it, and it's like now I feel like, and you probably feel the same, that you could almost take anything in your stride now.
Yeah. So, well, the last time when we were speaking about doing this podcast, I was in Texas.
Yes.
So obviously I had sold up my house, car again, just sold up everything, gave away my belongings, and in February this year took my children to Texas. And I would have thought I would have still been there. That was the plan, to stay sort of most of the year, or just sort of see what happened. But after 3 months, my brother lives there. He's a citizen, so he was sponsoring us. But I just, I think it's a difference between just going for fun and knowing that you're coming home, and when you're trying to settle somewhere. For some people, they do want to settle elsewhere. For me, I realised how much I love my Glasgow and my friends and family. I felt really lonely out there, and I just missed the help and the having them, just their company. I realised, it really made me appreciate what I had here and the people that I had here.
Yeah, because you've got a structure, an infrastructure, haven't you, at home? You've got your support. Whereas, although you can build that up whilst you're away, it doesn't always happen, though, does it?
Yeah, so that's the thing. So everything I've mentioned, you can totally build that. So it does work for some people. And I did. I was out. I was networking. I met new people. I met people out there. We went for nights out and had fun and explored Austin. And one of my friends came over and visited, and we actually did a road trip through the west of Texas, the desert. So it was fun. I had the best time, but I was still working. I was homeschooling, and it was really, really challenging not having my support around. So I think maybe I just went at a time in my life when it just wasn't suitable for me. Although it's made me realise, definitely until my kids are adults, I won't be trying to do anything like that again. We're here, we'll have trips and holidays, but we'll settle in Scotland.
Yeah, and it's good, at least you tried it. And, always regret the things you did do, not the things you haven't done. and you've tried it, you know, and you went over there, you gave it a go, and that's all you can do, isn't it? You give it a go. It was great while it lasted, but at least you realised as well that it was also time to come home as well, because a lot of people, I think, don't do that, and they just stay, then they resent it.
Yeah, I think ego can make you stay as well, especially after only a few months. I definitely could have thought, what's what people going to think? You know, I've been posting this whole journey about selling up and coming over, and I thought, and then I caught that thought, and I thought, why would I stay here just because of what anyone thinks? I want to go home. So yeah, never. That's another thing, just not letting ego, because it really can. It can come in and keep you somewhere you don't want to be, or you know, stop you from doing something that you want to do because of what other people might think. So
absolutely, and we do that a lot. You know, I see that a lot. I used to be like it myself. You know, I was worried about what other people would say or think about me, especially if I had to post things online, you know, social media, talking about my podcast or any of that. I'd be a bit self-conscious. And to start with, I make sure I put my makeup on. I just look perfect. And it got to the point where hair straight back, no makeup. I'm just doing a little reel or whatever it is. Don't let things hold you back, you know, things like that, because they're so superficial at the end of the day. And people love to see the raw side of you anyway, you know.
That's so true. When we think about other people, we love seeing that side, and we love seeing, I know it's funny because people, so many people said, oh, I'm sorry it didn't work out in Texas, or I'm sorry it didn't work out, and I feel like it did work out. I'm where I want to be, so it's not like I was forced to come back and I want to be there. I feel like it worked out perfectly. I got that experience. I hopefully have showed my children, see, it's so we've started again. We have a new home, a new car, in a new area, and I thought it's not hard. It's actually, that was easy to come home and start again. And I hope I've showed my kids that
exactly, because you were in the right mindset. But what a fantastic experience for the children though as well. What a fantastic, how many children could say that they did that for a few months of their life?
I know. Yeah.
You know, it's amazing for them. So I love all those stories. So what's next for you then, Karen?
So as far as trips go, we have no more planned this year. So obviously it's the summer holidays. My kids are going back to school. They won't be homeschooled anymore. So that I think we do need sort of grounding a little bit. We do need that little bit of, I guess, I don't like normality, but you know, just me working. They'll be at school, which is their choice. They want to go back because they were homeschooled for a while. And no more trips planned. I think it is just being sort of settled and finding our feet back here. I'm still working and building on that. There's so many things I want to do with work as well.
Fantastic.
Like finding a space now that I'm back and I know I'll be here. I actually want to work with people more in person rather than remotely. So that's in the pipeline for this year. And then next year we'll look at more trips. Solo trips, absolutely, on my own or with friends and with the kids. All of that.
Well, you've had a great year so far anyway, haven't you?
I know.
So it's not as if you haven't done anything. So, you know, kudos to you for doing that in the first place. I think that, you know, it is a brave, strong thing to do. And you did it.
I know.
And you came back. You did it and you came back. So you've been there, you've done it, you've bought the T-shirt.
I know.
What was I going to say then? So if anybody would like to contact you, because obviously being, you know, into NLP, hypnotherapy, if anyone is thinking that they would like to speak to you, what's the best way for them to contact you?
So it's iamkarenleigh.com is my website, and I am Karen Leigh on Instagram. I'm sure you'll have the links for them.
I will put them all, absolutely. All the links, all the info I will put in the show notes. So yes, they will all go in there.
If anyone wants to, if it's about, taking children away, I'm really happy to have that conversation with them.
That'd be lovely. That would be fantastic, because I'm sure there's probably a few out there that would like to be would be interested and would like a little bit more information. So thank you ever so much, Karen. I've loved this podcast with you. It's been really insightful. It's really good to know that where you started from to where you are now, and this the world's your oyster, isn't it? It literally is your oyster. So thank you ever so much, Karen. And yes, good luck with everything that you do.
Thank you for having me.
And that concludes this episode of Wanderlust Diaries, celebrating the fearless spirit of solo female travellers who are 40 and beyond. I hope you found inspiration, valuable insights, and a renewed sense of wanderlust. Thank you to all our incredible listeners who have joined us on this exciting journey. Remember, age should never stop your quest for adventure, because the world is waiting for you to explore its wonders. And don't forget to join our community on social media to connect with fellow travellers, and subscribe and review us on your favourite podcast platform. All links are in the show notes. Keep dreaming, keep exploring, and stay fearless. Until next time, this is Terri Reynolds signing off from Wanderlust Diaries. Psst, don't keep me a secret. Please tell your friends and fellow travellers.